Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Um, the holiday Passover is coming up very soon, and research has shown that the majority of the Jews observe Passover. Unlike most of the other holidays, people fast on Yom Kippur. Most people light menorahs on Hanukkah, but Passover is a very, very special holiday for a lot of people. Perhaps because it brings back memories of our past, memories of family, and good times. In some cases, bad times, I suppose, also. But Passover is a very special holiday for all of us. We're all very sentimental about it. Many years ago, I was asked to speak to a group of senior people in an old age home here out in San Diego in an area called El Cajon. El Cajon is not known as a very Jewish area, but this was an old age home, and I was asked to go and speak. It was before Passover. So off I went. I was ushered into a room where there were maybe 25 elderly people. They looked like they were in pretty bad shape. They were perhaps suffering from advanced Alzheimer's and dementia. And I tried to talk to them. No one responded. No one said a word. No one was interested in responding at all. They just sat there. They looked out into outer space. And I was thinking to myself, how can I reach these people? What can I do? What can I say to them that will get some response from them? Then it occurred to me. I asked them, I said, how many of you remember Passover? All of a sudden, people started to look at me. They started to open up their eyes, and memories started to come back. Then I started asking the questions. How many of you remember your mother lighting candles on Passover night? Well, one lady said, yes, I do. I said to her, can you describe those candles to me? She said they were very beautiful and they were silver and they were old, and she got them from her mother. And I remember her closing her eyes and praying. And she went on about the candles and how meaningful they were and how beautiful they were. I asked them, how many of you remember the Seder and having people over for the Seder? And they said, sure, we all remember the Seder. It was a highlight of our year. And I said to them, how many of you remember your father going to the synagogue on Passover night and then coming home? Sure, most people said, yeah, they nodded their head. And I said to them, and how many of you remember your father would bring home guests to the Passover Seder? Now, this was a long time ago that they were remembering this. This was during the times perhaps of the Great Depression. And they said, yes, we remember. Our father used to bring home a couple of guests to our Seder. Who were these guests? Well, there were people that he picked up in shul, people he met in the synagogue, maybe homeless people, people who didn't have a place to go for Passover, and they would be invited to come to their home for Seder. And I said, your parents were rich? They said, no. And they get talking. No. So I said, well, how did they afford to have guests? They could barely afford to feed you. How did they afford to have guests if they were so poor? And they thought, and they said, well, it was Passover. And after all, on Passover, everybody should be at a Seder. Even poor people should be at a Seder. And then we started talking more about the Seder and what was in the Seder. They remember the matzah, and they remember the bitter herbs, and they remember the cup of Elijah, and they remember their father reciting the Haggadah, telling the story, and the beautiful meals, the food that their mother used to prepare for Passover. And then all of a sudden, I saw an amazing thing. I saw tears coming from many of these people's eyes as they remembered these wonderful memories of days gone by, memories that held such meaning for them. And this is really what Passover is all about. Passover is a connection with our past, with time. And in Passover, we remember not just the, the going out of Egypt, but we remember our families, and we remember the beautiful Jewish traditions that Passover held for all of them, and indeed held for all of us. This is a time that I get a lot of calls from people wanting to know information about Passover. I would wonder, how did you hear about it? What did you know? It's Rabbi, it's Passover. Everybody observes Passover. When we are able to have a communal Seder at the synagogue, hopefully next year we will again when these quarantines are over, we get very often 200 people coming to the Seder. And who are these 200 people? They are mostly people I've never seen before. People from the synagogue, they have their own Seder at home. But these people, most of them, don't have any place to go for Passover. So they come to us, and we're very happy to accommodate them because a person needs a connection. A person needs to be in a place for Passover. Years ago, during the Save Soviet Jewry movement, when we were working very hard to get the Jews of Russia out of communist Russia, so the movement had an idea of leaving an empty seat for the Jews of Russia. Keep a seat empty, and they should symbolize they're the Jews of Russia who do not have a place to go for Passover. The Rebbe was opposed to that. He said, no, the best way you can do it is fill up that seat with another Jew. Get another Jew to come to that seat and to join you for your Seder. Well, this year we really can't do that. We're afraid of the virus, but we can certainly help other Jews by providing for them matzah and the foods for Passover. And if you know of anyone who is in need of any of the provisions of Passover, provide it for them or speak to us and we'll help to provide it. We are sending the round shmur matzahs around town to people that they should enjoy the old-fashioned traditional matzahs that were eaten for Passover. And of course, don't forget to sell your chametz. You can do that online through chabaduc.org/Passover. And in so doing, we'll be ready for the holiday as never before. Shalom and have a good week and a happy Passover.